I'll be back in time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Etank. I'm one of your hosts, Xander Scullion, and joined with me is Michael Burhan, the nerd genius. And for this episode, we are going to be talking about our first impressions of Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, this is a rather weird kind of a conundrum in a sense, because DC had decided to do things kind of backwards from what Marvel have done in terms of the way that they're pairing up these two uber superheroes here to bring together an amazing movie. And I've always said this, if you look back at my previous videos, that this was the logical step, to do a Batman vs. Superman movie to see how the characters kind of interact and kind of tell their backstories. Now, what we're going to be doing today is doing our top 5 impressions of this and what we feel that we've gathered from the trailer.
Number 5.
All right, so the first thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that DC is really wanting to capitalize on the dark and gritty. So dark and gritty that I can honestly say for the first couple of seconds of this trailer, I couldn't tell what was going on. It was so dark, I thought I was looking at Gotham. But then you see a statue of Superman, and that doesn't make any sense, so obviously this is Metropolis. So I'm really not sure about this, but it's just a teaser.
Yeah, for me, the atmosphere is one of the big things, because this movie is supposed to be based on the Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns here. The movie that we've seen as a DC animated movie, if you want to check out part 1 and part 2 of that, starring Mr. Robocop himself in this movie as well. The man, the myth, the legend. Now, this, for me, has given it kind of a good atmosphere. You can see the two characters interacting. It's very dark, it's very gloomy. You've got Batman trying to test Superman's mettle, and you have him kind of in that big, bulking, armored suit that he usually has when they combated each other in that movie. What I will say about this, it does build up in anticipation. It does build up exactly what we're going to see, which is going to be something a lot darker than what we saw in Man of Steel.
Number 4.
Who is Superman? That's the biggest question. A lot of people are looking at him as almost as a coming messiah. Some people are looking at him as a false god and telling him to go back home. Unfortunately, it's exploded. But that really makes me wonder what's going to go on. Maybe Lex Luthor has some part in this. Maybe Lex Luthor's got a lot of money. Maybe he's using a lot of propaganda. Maybe he's hired Bruce Wayne from Wayne Enterprises to kind of do some investigating on exactly who the Superman is. So I'm really, really curious about that. I really wish we would have saw more of Lex Luthor, because I know the actor that's playing him, I'm really kind of curious about what he's going to bring to the table, being a little younger.
Yeah, a lot of this is going to be backstory, and I agree with Xander on that. And part 4 here is going to be the backstory. We're going to see a lot more of who Superman is in terms of his time of crisis, if he's going to be a god or if he's going to be a hero. We get to see a lot more in terms of Batman, have his backstory fleshed out a lot more. You can tell Ben Affleck's playing a lot older in terms of the Bruce Wayne that he's appearing to be. So we get to see a lot more of that and understand who he is and what exactly is going to be going on. We're going to see Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. He's going to be a much younger Luthor, which I'm not sure about this. For me, I always felt that they could have gone a different direction and have Mr. Walter White himself play Lex Luthor, the man himself, Bryan Cranston. But in the end, they went a different direction. So could this be good? Could this be bad? And could we see a hell of a lot of storytelling?
Number 3.
Number 3, for me, I've got to look at the cool gadgets, because we've got to explore a little bit of the cool gadgets that Batman's going to be using, because Batman is not a normal human being here. He's kind of a billionaire playboy with a lot of money and a lot of time on his hands to tinker. So he's super intelligent as well. Does that kind of remind you of something? No, over there, Iron Man. We're not talking about you today. So yeah, we're talking about the billionaire himself, Bruce Wayne, as he gets out a lot of gadgets to compete with the Man of Steel.
Number 2.
I think one of the most interesting things about this whole movie the teaser, was hearing the voice of Batman. I can say I saw some leaked footage before it was the HD upload on YouTube, and I didn't know exactly what he was saying at first. It was very muffled, but when I heard it, you can definitely tell that it's being processed through some sort of voice changer, which makes things interesting. That makes Batman maybe more of a fear figure in this movie, and that's something I would really like to see. I would like to see a very dark, brooding Batman, not Christian Bale about to cough up a lung with the emphysema Batman, but more of a, just very mysterious. And I honestly, I really hope one of the characteristics that we do see in this movie that I don't feel like we see enough with Batman on the screen is being a detective. Batman is the world's best detective. I would love to see him do some research, like actually seeing him research Superman and finding out who his enemy is. A lot of us always talk about how Batman can always win because of prep time and he's always prepared. But honestly, the movies never show that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Batman is kind of the guy who always has to find a solution to everything. He's a guy who uses his brain a lot more than his brawn, but can also go hand to hand with people in terms of his combat style. I want to see a lot more detective from Ben Affleck's Batman, and I agree with Xander. The voice is going to be a lot to define the character. I heard a little bit from it, but because the trailer was kind of iffy in terms of what direction they were going to go in, they haven't kind of set in stone how they're going to play this. I will have to admit, in terms of appearance, though, Batman does look like, Batman, in a sense. He reminds me of more the old gritty 90s Batman than he does the Batman that we saw from Bale.
Number 1.
For me, the biggest thing that I'm going to see in the anticipation here is the fact that, it's in the title, Batman versus Superman. I want to see a heck of a lot more coming from Batman and Superman from when they first meet. I don't want to see anybody else. I know they kind of announced other characters to be in this movie. I really hope that they just make cameos. I want it to be Batman versus Superman, and this trailer shows the anticipation from that, from these two guys locking eyes from their first meeting point, and we're going to see these two guys bring it on and give it their best, because this will be the battle of the two greatest DC heroes of all time. Who's going to win?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I mean, even if the movie's not that great, I will say this is still history in the making. This is Batman and Superman on the silver screen, live action. I'm very excited, I'm around to be able to see something like this. It's been like years that people have been wanting this, and to finally see it, it's comic book history, and I'm really curious and excited about it. Alright guys, well this concludes another episode of Etank, and be sure to check out all of Michael Burhan's endeavors with the link on the description below. That's going to give you guys all the information, and give us a comment. Let us know what you're looking forward to Batman versus Superman. We'd love to hear from you guys.
And as always, for Etank, if you find us, make sure you check out our episodes and fill her up.
Happy gaming, guys.